Alright friend, imagine a machine so big, so ambitious, so unapologetically French that it promised to conquer the Atlantic like an ocean liner with wings. And now imagine that same machine rattling itself apart, like a giant with a bad case of the jitters. This is the tale of the Latecoere 631, the flying boat that was as magnificent as it was doomed. I'm Bill, and this is Buffalo Air Park. Let's dive in. The Big Dream. In the mid-1930s, France had an idea, an enormous, gleaming idea. The Air Ministry wanted a flying boat that could haul 40 passengers across 4,000 kilometers of ocean. Enter Latecoere, a company that practically invented France's air routes. Their answer? A monster of a machine, the Latecoere 631. It was the largest civil transatlantic flying boat ever attempted at the time, a wingspan of 188 feet, 6 engines mounted like a crown, and inside, they went all out. Passengers would dine in a restaurant, lounge at a bar, stretch out in separate cabins, and, for those with urgent needs, make use of the now infamous direct exit lavatories. One can only assume the fish in the Atlantic did not appreciate French engineering quite as much as the passengers did. War interrupts the party. But timing was less than ideal. The first prototype finally flew in 1942, smack in the middle of World War II. The Germans quickly seized it, painting their codes across its massive hull. For a brief moment, the Third Reich dreamed of using the Laté 631 as their own flying ocean liner. Fate, however, had other plans. In April 1944, a pair of British de Havilland mosquitoes swooped in and reduced the great French giant to burning wreckage on Lake Constance. And yet, the story doesn't end there, because while the Germans claimed one Laté, the French resistance had a trick up their sleeve. The second aircraft was quietly dismantled, piece by piece, and hidden across the countryside. The wings in a sheep pen, the tail in a barn, and, my personal favorite, the fuselage buried near a pig farm. Imagine German officers knocking on the doors while villagers shrugged and whistled, standing on top of the world's biggest game of hide-and-seek. When liberation came, the pieces were unearthed and hauled in a convoy stretching nearly half a kilometer. Only the French could treat an airplane like fine wine, bury it underground, and then bring it back out when the time was right. A symbol of French pride. By 1945, the Laté 631 finally returned to the skies, this time under French colors. For a while, it was the pride of Air France, the only French airliner big enough to cross the Atlantic. 4 of them were put into service, and they even pulled off record flights. One managed a non-stop 4,700-kilometer run, the longest commercial flight of its day. For a moment, it seemed as if France had its own queen of the skies. The cracks began to show. But the cracks appeared quickly, sometimes literally. In October 1945, one Laté suffered a catastrophic propeller failure. The blade sheared off, tore through another engine, and carved a 10-foot hole into the hull. 2 passengers died, but the pilot somehow managed to wrestle the wounded beast down into the water. Then came worse. In August 1948, an Air France Laté vanished over the Atlantic with 52 souls aboard. No survivors, no real answers, just a haunting reminder that something was very wrong. Air France wisely grounded the rest of their fleet, but like so many aviation tragedies, the story didn't end with common sense. The fatal secret. Another operator, SEMAF, tried to give the Laté a second career as a cargo hauler. One of their aircraft, F-WANU, was sent up in 1950 on a test flight to investigate what had gone wrong. The engineers were determined to solve the mystery. They succeeded, but only in the most tragic way imaginable. The post-crash investigation revealed that the Laté 631 had an enemy no engineer had truly accounted for: itself. The 6 engines drove their propellers at exactly the same frequency that matched the vibration of the wings and ailerons. In short, it shook itself apart. Mechanical resonance, that cruel trick of physics, meant the wings and control surfaces were doomed to oscillate until they snapped. The Latecoere 631 was literally a giant tuning fork of doom, humming its way into oblivion. The end of the flying boat. By 1955, the giant was finished. 11 were built, 1 destroyed by Allied bombing, 5 lost in fatal accidents, taking nearly 100 lives. The last one crashed in a tropical storm hauling cotton out of Cameroon. And then silence. Not a single Laté 631 survived. No museum displays, no hulking relics in a hangar, just memories, records, and the occasional photograph or video clip of a machine that was too ambitious for its own good. The age of the flying boat was over. Concrete runways and powerful land planes had won, and the Latécoère 631, France's great skyliner, was remembered not for its triumphs, but for its tragic, unstoppable dance with vibration. And that wraps up another tale from aviation's stranger side. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.